Kindred Spirits, welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. I'm Kinda Caitlin, and today we'll be taking a look into your April blessings as well as your Aries season messages.
So welcome back, my beautiful Kindred Spirits, and anyone new joining us today. I do new readings every single Monday on love, career, spirituality, self-growth, and empowerment, so feel free to subscribe. Today, we're looking into the month of April in a very unique way.
I have snail mail readings. These readings are typed on a vintage typewriter and wax sealed for your eyes only. These are great for answering any questions that you might have. So if you're interested in any of my offerings, feel free to check out all the information down below in the description. With all that being said, let's get into our piles.
For today's piles, we have 3 different Fools. We have the Fool from the Modern Witch Tarot deck, the Fool from the Queer Tarot deck, and the Fool from the Cosmic Slumber Tarot deck.
So before you head off into your piles, I invite you to take a deep and cleansing breath to ground your energy here. So let's take that breath now.
As always, there is no right or wrong way to choose your pile. Choose pile 1, 2, all 3. Start with 1 and change your mind halfway. No right or wrong way. You can find the chapter marks and the timestamps in the description box below, as well as information for my snail mail readings and my Instagram. With all that said, let's start with pile 1.
Hello Group 1, if you've decided to choose this specific Fool from the Modern Witch Tarot, then this is the pile for you to look into Aries season, to look into the blessings and energy on its way in for April for you, but also for your April Fool's messages. So if you guys didn't realize in the intro, that actually wasn't me. Both of my sisters were doing bits and pieces of the intro, playing around with it. We have so much fun doing those every single year for this April Fool's video, and of course it actually landed on April Fool's this year, so not only were we going to just play around with the intro, but as per usual for these April videos, I like to do a very odd arrangement and interesting arrangement of different tools and supplies. So we're still going to be playing around with the charms here, but we're actually going to be using all cards based on different board games. So you first off have a regular playing card deck. We're going to be working with Harry Potter trading cards, some herbal cards that I recently got from a game called Wildcraft, which basically could form as an actual oracle deck, Picturica, and Hues and Cues. So we're not going to be playing around with the standard stuff, mostly to just let you guys know that, you know, your intuition is what's really driving most of the card pulls and everything like that. So you know, if you guys can't afford or don't want to work with the standard tarot oracle supplies and maybe aren't even able to use those tools based off of the living situation you're in or how open you are with your practice, then these are great tools to still use, and we're going to be playing around here today. So do feel free to use your own intuition with this one. Feel free to get cozy as always, and we're going to play around with some playing cards first off to look into your main tarot messages. So this is a great replacement or even just straight up a minor Arcana tarot deck. I used this for my first tarot deck when I first was starting, and it worked really, really well, and I still pull it out for all sorts of readings for myself. So if you guys are looking for an alternative to a tarot deck, this is a great option that's more discreet. But regardless, let's get into it. I'm going to try not to waffle too long here. So Group 1, the month of April for you. Starting off strong with the Four of Hearts, also known as the Four of Cups in this case, as hearts represent the cup cards in tarot. So Four of Cups. The Four of Cups has a lot to do with feeling kind of, the word that just keeps coming to mind for me is like disappointed. I'm almost getting this feeling like you maybe had something you were very excited about or something you wanted to have happen, but it just sort of fell through. So maybe some plans are going to fall through this month, or maybe just go a different way than you had expected, because the Four of Cups usually represents that maybe something went awry that you didn't necessarily want to get, but a new opportunity is going to come in that was probably going to be better for you in the long run, or it gives you the opportunity to change direction or to change your path. So think of it as like you wanted to go to a party and then all of a sudden plans fell through and you didn't go, but by not going you actually got, invited to something else, or you decided to do something else, and it actually ended up being a way better day or night than you had expected. Maybe you met someone, maybe you went somewhere, maybe you learned something new that you wouldn't have had you gone to your regular plan. So this is the vibe that I'm getting already as the literal heart of your month so far, is this feeling that your plans are going to go a little awry, but it feels like it's going to benefit you in the long run. You also have the King of Hearts, which the King of Hearts, or the King of Cups in this case, again, heart cards meaning cups, is all about having your heart on your sleeve. They are the the high king in this case of the cup suit. So where the cups are all about being able to really use your emotions and flow with your emotions, your creativity, your feelings, and this very fluid nature as it represents and responds to the water element. This is making me think that as you move through the month, it's going with the flow is going to be your best asset moving forward throughout the month, and to make sure to not get too rigid in your plans, in your ideas, to really flow. Oh my gosh, you got so many heart cards. You also have the 5 of Cups coming in here as well. So again, it's really feeling like something's gonna fall, something's going to break, something's going to go a little bit wrong. So you're going to have, a rock in your plans, or someone's going to have plans fall through, or you're going to have, even maybe have some setbacks, as that's what's really showing up here. But again, the king is coming through really strong, especially with the fact that it's a court card. Obviously, it's going to be showing up quite strongly, but just energetically, it's coming up very strong. And this is just telling me that, again, going with the flow is totally a mantra you should use this coming month, making sure to be very flexible like a willow tree, or to be able to really allow movement and flow in your plans, your goals, your tasks, and what you can and maybe can't get done in this coming month. Also, the 5 of Cups can talk about feeling a little bit more of that disappointment energy, but also sometimes can talk a little bit about grief. And we can talk about grief in terms of what we typically think of with grief, with someone maybe passing, but you can also see it, if that doesn't really apply to you in this coming month, you can also see it as just like grief over much smaller, more everyday grief that we can feel, and loss that we can feel to certain things. So maybe a loss of a job opportunity, maybe a loss of an opportunity falling through, a loss of time, going so quickly and fast. There can be a bittersweetness that comes from a little bit of your month too. So I don't want to leave you with just these because they can feel a little bit bummy, I'm not gonna lie, but I really want to strongly put out that even though there are these sort of bummer cards coming in here, there's a lot of energy on the top of it showcasing that go with the flow, and the fact that you can flip these cards around quite easily and quite to your advantage, with the idea that yes, something maybe isn't going to work out, but in the long run you're going to benefit from that having happened, and that's really coming in strongly for your cards. So with those 3 already in mind, let's go ahead and pull you an energetic landscape card. So when I'm looking at these hues and cues, they all have different numbers, letters, which you can use with angel numbers and initials, but they also have all of these different color palettes. And so we're going to see how the energy is going to be looking for the coming month. I was going to pull this first, but for some reason I felt like I wanted to wait, so we're going to see what you get here for your energetic landscape, anything that we can really get from these colors. If you guys are artists or look into color psychology, you might find this really interesting. Okay, so we've got kind of a nice little mix here, all cool tones, all cool tone colors, not a lot of warmth, but there are it doesn't feel like, it feels just very calm for some reason. We have K18, C22, G22, and M11. 222, so we've got 2222. 2 is having a lot to do with partnerships. They can talk about relationships. So when you're specifically looking at this purple and this pink, that's going to be sort of the energy of your relationships going into this coming month, which feel very warm, even though they're cool colors, in terms of like actual cool toned and warm toned colors. They still, like this C22 for sure is coming off a lot more passionate, a lot more warm. The other ones that you have here are like this icy blue and then a really nice, foresty sort of spring green. And when I'm looking at all of these colors together, they really just feel like they're working in different facets of your life, and that this energy is really kind of bleeding into different pieces and parts of your life. So it's not going to be like one thing where this is kind of happening, but in many different facets of your life. Or just because this is a collective reading, you might be feeling more called to one or the other, one of these 4 colors. But see what your intuition is really sparking with this one. This one's definitely a more intuitive card, but these might be, M, G, C, or K. Those could all be related to an initial of a person that might be really important moving into the coming month. With that said, though, let's go ahead and pull a little bit of an herbal card to see what we have coming in here for your month of April. Group 1. Ooh, wild mustard. And what I'm really getting here with wild mustard, it doesn't really show up a lot in a lot of the herbal decks that I have, so it's really fun to play around with these because I don't usually get to think about it in this way. But this wild mustard is making me think, obviously just based off of the name with wild, that again there's something that's going to be kind of spontaneous. By going with the flow, you're going to have spontaneous opportunities arise, and that sometimes when we allow a little bit more chaos in our life, if we allow moving away from sort of railroading our lives and seeing what can happen when we, come across a fork in the road and choose one path versus the other, you're going to have a lot more opportunities come in and a lot more spontaneity, a lot more opportunities that might really feel wild at first, but seem to be something that's kind of like a ladder of growth. It's really helping you in the long run. That's really coming through so strongly. Wild mustard, also the idea of mustard coming in. If you've ever, I'm sure lots of you have had mustard, but when you have mustard, right, it has that very tart, very punchy flavor. And so this is kind of that feeling too, that it might sort of come out of left field for some of you, and kind of like have that punchy flavor, like it just kind of punches you in the gut, but it really feels like it's here to help you. So maybe it's kind of waking you up from a situation that you've been in a while, maybe waking you up out of a slump. For some of you, I'm almost getting this feeling too that maybe you've been in a creative slump or a reading slump or whatever it might be, where you just feel like you've got a brick wall in your face, where you feel like you're just doing the same things day in and day out, and it's getting kind of mundane, getting a little kind of, calm, kind of boring in some ways. So I can also see some of you wanting to just shake things up a little bit, and maybe that's where that spontaneity is coming in for a few of you. I don't think it's everyone, but I do think a few of you are just wanting to be a little bit more spontaneous, wanting to have a little bit of a wild card come in, but you don't necessarily want to be the one to initiate it. And I feel like the universe is coming in to make sure that that happens for those few of you. This also has the number 29 at the bottom. I hadn't realized that, but there's another 2 showing up here again. So a lot of this could be related to relationships in your life, whether that's platonic, romantic, familial, however you see fit, but it definitely is coming in quite heavily. I'm also going to pull a few of these little fun doodles of this Picturica deck that I kind of curated for these videos. So we're going to see what comes in here for you with these. Picturica over the next coming month. So group 1 for the month of April. The month of April for group 1. Ooh. So let's have a little look here. Okay, so you have a little bicycle here and an apple, a person about to eat an apple, but they have like all the smelly feet. Some of these are really silly. But what I was thinking when I first saw this one is this feeling of that same feeling that I get from the 4 of Cups. The 4 of Cups can be like you're given this apple, you're given a situation that may be stinky, it's not really the best situation to be in, but the apple showcases this really healthy, great new opportunity coming in. Sometimes we're too stubborn to notice that it's something that's going to actually benefit us or something that could help us, that could be a tool to us to get us moving again, especially for some of you who are kind of feeling in that slump. but it is going to be beneficial in the long run if you do decide to take it. And the reason why I was also getting this feeling of like getting momentum, getting movement, especially with that brick wall feeling, is you do again have those tools to help get you moving, to get like this bike is literally momentum. Because if you've ever been on a bike going down a really big hill, you know how much momentum you can get. I feel like a lot of you are on that uphill when you're coming back up after going down a really nice high. So I feel like this month is going to feel a little bit slumpy at the start, but it's going to be changing. And I know I'm kind of just repeating the same message, but that's literally what just keeps coming in. Outside of that, the bike can also represent just that a lot of you are going to be more resourceful this month. You might have resources coming in that could be really useful to you. So maybe that's literally getting a bike. Maybe it's a part for your car. Maybe it's a financial opportunity, whatever it might be. But there does seem to be some sort of help, like some sort of tool coming in that's going to be really useful to get you moving. On top of that, what I really like about this too is I just realized it's a bike for two people. So again, we were talking about maybe this being related to a relationship in your life. It might be that it is related to that, in the idea that you have these two people riding on this bike. But to get momentum going in a relationship, especially if the slump has been in a relationship, if it literally feels like a wrench has been thrown into the relationship, there might just be some communication needed, some new tools, literally communication tools or conversations that could be used as a tool to better create a little bit of health and momentum within that relationship again, to get it flowing and moving again, where it maybe has been kind of in a funk. So that's what I'm really getting from these cards. As always, use your own intuition as we do go through them. Speaking of this month, though, it is Aries season, so happy birthday to any Aries out there. But even if you're not an Aries and your sun, moon, or rising, this can be related to you as well, because we're going to be looking into the overarching energy that Aries season brings in and how you might be using it or sort of benefiting from it. So Aries season is all about momentum. It's all about charging forward. It's about making plans. It's about getting things flowing and moving. It is just super, super powerful. So we're going to be seeing what comes in with all of this power and this action with these Harry Potter cards. So you do have Quidditch Through the Ages, which is a little book here. Quidditch being, again, like a broom, an opportunity to move forward. It's an opportunity to get things rolling. It's basically a vehicle. So again, there's something here about if you want to take these more like literally, this could be related to, again, having an opportunity to possibly fix up a bike, a car, a vehicle, to maybe find a bus route, whatever it might be, but some sort of tool to help you in that case. I would also notice that there are two Quidditch brooms here in the same way that there's two petals on this. So again, another reason why I'm getting this feeling of partnership or relationships being at the heart of your reading here. Oh, and then you have another two here. That's come up so many times. If you guys haven't looked up the correspondences and numerological correspondences to the number 2, I definitely would look into that. But let's pull one more. Group 1. Okay, so you also have here good night's sleep with the number 10 showing up here. It says, after a good night's sleep, Harry felt nearly back to normal. Ooh, this tells me too that sometimes we can dramatize, and I've definitely been there, right? We think the whole day is ruined because one thing happened, or because even a bunch of things happen, and we just really need a good night's sleep, or we just need a kind of time to rest and recover to come back stronger. And so the fact that you have all of this momentum, all of this energy showcasing like getting wild, getting things moving, getting things flowing again, and then this good night's sleep is telling me to just be a little bit more gentle with yourself. It's both getting things to flow, but we don't need to be a raging river, right? We can just be on a lazy river flowing along. And so I think that's the energy and sort of mindset to take on for the coming month. But we're going to finish off your reading here with some charms, as always. So this is going to be probably more of the normal stuff, so do feel free to send your own energy in. If you want to make your own charm set, do feel free to check out the video that I have down in the description down below to see how you can create your own. But let's go ahead and pull some charms. Okay, so let's have a little look here. So immediately the heart of your reading, we have Aries showing up here, which I find really, really interesting because it is Aries season. When it falls this way, it usually relates to an Aries in your life versus this side, which is usually the oracle message. In this case, it's courageous, which is definitely the energy of Aries season. So there is this courageous energy coming in here, this feeling of having courage, and this feeling too, like I said, it could be related to a person in your life, a relationship in your life that might be related to an Aries. You also have the overwhelmed charm. Whenever I see this one, if you've ever had a bobby pin, this is like an overwhelmed bobby pin, right? It's outstretched, it's overwhelmed. And so this is coming in here along both the Quidditch Through the Ages and both the relationship cards, really, is that you might be feeling overwhelmed, or you have a lot that you want to say, but like you don't really have the tools to say exactly how you are feeling about a situation. And so that's coming in to maybe take a little bit of a breath, take a little bit of a breather, slow down before you act or before you speak, and really choose your words carefully when it comes to these conversations that you might be having with someone this coming month that might be very impactful. You also have on Wild Mustard, and next to the King of Hearts here, that very creative energy showing up here with the Knight. And so when I think of the Knight, especially in chess, it represents like the only piece that can kind of hop around the board, the piece that can be, it doesn't take the linear path, it takes the path less traveled, really. And so that wild energy keeps coming in, especially for those of you who are feeling creative blocks. Just create something, get some crayons out, work with some macaroni noodles. If you're writing a song, just go ahead and start singing, right? A lot of it comes down to just starting. And then you also have the crown chakra, which usually represents a more spiritual connective energy, showing up here around the 4 of Cups and the 5 of Cups, which is telling me that this, again, it feels like the universe is coming in to help bring that wild energy in, to maybe throw a wrench in your plans on purpose, but you're not necessarily going to know that at the time. So that is everything that I have coming in here for your coming month of April and Aries season. I do hope that you got something out of this. I know it was a little bit of the same kind of messages coming up over and over and over. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes I have ones where I have so much I want to say that it feels like I'm talking for ages. And then sometimes it's more linear like yours. So do let me know in the comments down below how it resonated for you. Let me know how you thought of the cards, especially since it was so different this time. If you have any fan favorites, I should maybe bring it back next year if I do it again. And also feel free to let my sisters know how they did on the intro. I'm sure that they would love to know. And if you're interested in these pick a card readings with typical card decks, as well as other educational videos on charm casting and on art magic, then do feel free to subscribe. And I also do snail mail readings where I send a letter to you in the mail. It's typewritten on a vintage typewriter from the 1970s and is wax sealed closed for your eyes only. On any question or query on your mind, then definitely feel free to check those out down below, and specifically through my Instagram. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello Group 2, if you've decided to choose this specific Fool from the Queer Tarot, then this is the pile for you. April Fools, everyone, if you didn't already know. If you're used to these April videos that I do every single year, then you'll probably already know what's up. But for those of you who were very confused in the intro, those were my 2 sisters who were helping me out to play me at the beginning for the intro. Do let us all know in the comments. I'm sure they're going to be reading them to see how they did. Imitating me. I'm sure they'd love to hear. But also, we're not going to stop there with the April shenanigans. We are going to be playing around with the charms, which is pretty normal, but we're also going to be using all of the decks here are all going to be specifically from board games. So we're going to be kind of challenging my intuition here and maybe challenging yours at home. Feel free to play along as always and see what comes in for you, to look into your April blessings, to look into the messages coming in for April for you, as well as Aries season. By the way, happy birthday to any Aries out there. And we're going to see what comes in. So we are going to be using a lot of different things here. I'll have all of them listed in the description down below if you want to see for yourself. But with the Fool energy, we're going to be just jumping right in. So we have Hues and Cues here, the Harry Potter trading cards, Picturica. We've got a new deck from Wildcraft, which works really well as an Oracle deck, I'm not gonna lie. And we are going to be using the main tarot deck as a playing card deck, which if you guys are looking for an opportunity to read tarot for yourself, but you want it to be a little bit more discreet, or maybe you can't afford a tarot deck, then this is an absolutely awesome way to be able to do that. It doesn't have all the majors in it, but it does have all the minor arcana, so it's a perfect way to learn. Plus, I feel like this is a really good opportunity for us to work with our own intuition and to really strengthen it. So let's just get right in. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, especially at the end of this reading, to see what you thought and what maybe sparked your intuition. We are going to start here with Hues and Cues. So I want to see the energetic landscape of your coming month with these different colors, and it also has numbers and letters on them, which you can see as initials of people that might be really important for your coming month. But you can also see the numbers for more numerological messages and angel numbers and things like that. So let's get going. Ooh, I'm excited. Okay, group 2, do feel free to send your energy in, and let's pull some cards for you. So group, you know what, I'm feeling that top card, group 2. Let's have a little look here. So you got, sort of these really fun pastel-y kind of colors showing up here with that yellow and the green. It says here I-18, E-27, G17 and K6. So we've got 2 7s showing up here being quite important, both 17 and 27, as well as 6 and 8. The letters here are K, I, E, and G. And then on top of that, we've got purple, pink, and a sort of a lime green and a yellow. Okay, so this is feeling very almost opposites attract feeling, because if you guys know like color theory, the complementary colors are red and green, blue and orange, and in this case yellow and purple. So I'm really feeling this opposites attract, or this like balance of 2 different entities of some sort. There's something coming in that way, so I'm very curious to see what comes in. Maybe you're feeling more than one of these colors, maybe one of them really excites you. I'd love to know, but let's go ahead and look at the energy of the coming month more specifically. So we're going to be pulling some tarot cards. Group, already got one coming out. This was actually, fun fact for those of you who don't already know, this was actually my very first tarot deck, this specific card deck. So it's a very specific reader. Sometimes it can be quite to the point, but that's something I kind of love about it. So let's see what you have. You have the 10 of Cups, really great card to have coming in the center, the 4 of Wands, and then you also have the 2 of Pentacles. So we've got a nice balance. A lot of this has been showcasing opposites attract, or that balancing energy. So the only kind of ones we don't have coming in here are Swords, which most of the time swords aren't really great cards to be getting in a reading, so it's actually quite nice to be seeing what you have coming in here. The 4 of Wands, as well as the 2 of Pentacles, we'll talk about afterwards, but we're going to start first with this 10 of Cups. So the 10 of Cups usually represents sort of an idealistic dream, an idealistic life. Sometimes it's not the most realistic. Sometimes it's the things that we fantasize, the things that we want to have coming into our lives, the things that we are, these are like our top dreams, the things we want so badly, especially that our emotions are fueled by, dreams that really get our emotions hyped up, things that you're excited and anticipating and hoping for. that's kind of the energy bottled up in one card. So it's not necessarily saying that in April all of your dreams are going to come true, right? That's not very realistic. But it does mean that you might be heading towards some of those goals, that you might be actually getting a little bit of headway on some of them, or things might surprise you in the fact that there might be something coming in there. So that's really exciting to have coming in. There's quite a lucky feeling to that card in this case. But you also have two others here with the Two of Pentacles here. The Two of Pentacles, as you can see, there's two of them. Twos representing sort of a balance. So the Two of Pentacles, usually someone is standing on top of something that they're kind of having to teeter-totter around and find their balance and juggle something. And what you might be juggling and balancing right now is something that you want to accomplish, something you really want, usually related to a dream or a fantasy of yours, something you think that it is so far off and so far out of reach, but is actually getting closer and closer every day, and that you're getting a little bit of headway, because the Four of Wands here usually represents getting a little bit of headway, finding a good foundation, getting a good foundation under your feet on something that you, in this case, have been really dreaming and anticipating and hoping for. So this is telling me that something's coming into balance, something is giving you the opportunities for these things to come forward. It might mean that you're going to have to juggle a few more things this month. You might be a little bit more busy, a little bit more having to juggle more in your hands, which can be a little bit more difficult. Maybe that's where that zippy sort of energy that I'm getting here from this K6 lime color is, but it definitely feels like you're kind of finding a good balance, finding a good groove. So the energy is kind of in your favor for this month for sure, but let's go ahead and see a little bit more, right? So now we're gonna pull one of these little Wildcraft cards. This is when I first got this game. I knew immediately that I was gonna be using this for these videos, because it is all a bunch of plants, which is basically a plant oracle deck. So we're gonna see what comes through. So group two. So we're going to be seeing what's coming in here for group 2 for the month of April. Maybe where these dreams are kind of coming from, or how they might be accomplishing some of those tasks and goals of theirs to find a good foundation. Okay, so you got burdock here, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a lot about all of these plants that are coming in. Like, I don't know if I've ever actually seen burdock before, but whenever I've seen this come up in the game, I always thought it looked like a very hardy plant, right? It looks like it's got really deep roots, a nice foundation, a nice stalk to it, right? It looks like something, if you could eat it, that you would throw in like a stew. It just feels like almost celery-like, and so when I'm looking at this, it's making me think that you're getting that good foundation going, and that there's a good root to in terms of this. So this is just another really good indication that the goals and the energy that you put forth this month towards something that really gets you going, something that makes you feel just like, yes, this is what I want, this feels like a dream, this feels like a passion, this feels like me, this feels like something I truly want, that you're finding a lot, if you put a lot of that energy towards those goals this month, you're going to be able to gain and get an output of a really good foundation. Things are lining up to be able to make that happen. I also like that there's quite a lot of shade coming from the leaves of this plant, so it's also telling me too that it's taking a little bit of the heat off of the situation as well. So that's just what I'm getting naturally, but some of you might already know burdock or have more of a relationship with this plant, so do feel free to use your own intuition when it comes to that. We're also going to pull some Picturica cards here. These ones are a little bit more silly, they're a little bit more playful, but we're gonna see what comes through. I like these a lot. They usually throw me for a little bit of a loop, but I always like the challenge. So we're gonna see what comes in for you for the month. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, the month of April, group 2. Okay, so it looks like you got the one that I said that was really cute was this one. It's just so adorable, this little picture of this little snake and this little turtle either falling in love or in a really good relationship, whether it's a friend, whether it's family member, whether it's a romantic relationship or not, whatever it might be here. But it does tell me that relationships are doing really well this month. It could be that it's related to a relationship when it comes to these goals. So that might be something to just keep in mind, but I really do like this card a lot. You also got this witch coming in here, which is telling me as well kind of a whole different story, that some of you are also going to be, maybe the goals again are related to your spirituality, your spiritual practice, your religion, to your more witchcraft related practices, but it could also be that some of you are literally doing some manifestation to make things happen, whether that's doing spell work, whether it's doing rituals, whether it's working with the moon, whatever it might be. But I could see some of you getting a little bit more spiritual, get a little bit more magic thrown up in your routines this coming month. So I feel like it's one or the other for some of you, but I suppose some of you it might be connected. So I'd be curious to see how that's coming through for you. And to finish off the card portion, we're still going to do some charms here in a second. To finish off those, we're going to do these Harry Potter trading cards. I've had these since like 2001, so definitely do not condone the author of Harry Potter, but I will say that I still really like the cards and the artwork for these, so it's really fun to play with these ones. So let's go ahead and see what's coming in specifically for Aries season now. So where most of this we were just thinking of the entire month of April, this is specifically working with the Aries season energies coming forward, which are all about being quite passionate, quite independent, but also leadership and power. And they're just like, whenever I think of Aries, they're just super fiery. They get things done. They're very action focused. So I'd love to see what comes through with you using that energy to your best ability this month. So how can you best utilize this Aries season energy this coming month? Let's pull one more. Ooh, that one just shot across. So let's see what it is. Interesting. Both piles so far that I've done have had a book and another kind of card, so it's interesting that that's been coming through. This has the number 2 on it, and it says here, a beginner's guide to transformation. So maybe something that you're beginning this month too. Like I said, you're trying to get a strong foundation on something, trying to get something moving forward. But to get that strong foundation, sometimes we have to learn some new skills. Sometimes we got to take up something that maybe scares us a little bit, as we do have this sort of scaredy cat pose showing up here with freeze and the number 3. Threes usually represent needing to use a little bit of creativity to move through a situation that might be a little bit sticky in this case. On top of that, it's also telling me to get action moving and rolling towards your goals this month. Using that Aries season energy is to maybe reach out to people in your life who maybe have better skills or have experience in the thing that you're trying to learn or grow on, as that's coming in here, whether it's related specifically to your goals here or to a relationship or to witchcraft or whatever it might be, or if it's unrelated and you're just looking for general advice. There could be people who could really support you in figuring out those fears of yours or figuring out how to get things rolling and moving, as it does seem like you're kind of at like a how do I start? Kind of like when you are opening a new notebook and the notebook is so pretty, you don't want to mess it up. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting here, is that you don't really want to mess it up. But it seems like you're going to be successful if you put your mind to it, if you just try, if you just get a little foundation growing, right? A plant's never going to grow if we don't even put it in the ground. So that's kind of the energy that you could really work with when it comes to Aries season this month, is to ask for some support and also to maybe learn some new skills to get you moving and flowing. So as always, we're going to end off your reading here with the charms. If you guys are looking for an interesting way to use divination tools, but you don't necessarily want to use Picturica, for instance, this is a great way to create your own personal divination set of tools and interesting charms that you could cast for yourself. And I have an entire master guide video that you can see up here or down below in the description, all about how you can use these and create your own set. So definitely feel free to check out that master guide. But let's go ahead and pull you some charms. Okay, so let's see here. Ooh, this one's stuck to my fingers, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that one as well and see where this one actually wants to land. Okay, so I'm going to pull you in a little closer and let's have a little look here. So, interesting. The things that are coming in here, immediately I feel called to this freeze card in the fact that their foundation is kind of sticky. I was just thinking about that, right? We're talking about really strong foundations that you're growing towards a goal of yours, and then you get this freeze card with all of this, like, your foundation is kind of sticky, like you've got yourself in a sticky situation. The way to get yourself out of any sticky situations that may arise is the advice of the Eiffel Tower here. And so this could represent literally traveling somewhere or something like that. But for the most part, whenever I see this one, it makes me think of changing your perspective, changing your viewpoint on something, because a lot of people don't maybe know this, maybe a few of you probably do now from these videos, but when the Eiffel Tower was first built, most people wanted it taken down. They really thought it was kind of ugly, they didn't like it, they didn't want it there, they wanted it gone, and now it's obviously, you know, a sort of treasure there in Paris. So this is kind of showcasing a change in perspective, and the fact that it fell right on those little paws of that feet of this little kitty cat here, then that's kind of how I was seeing it. You also have more of that pause energy here. Literally, I've never thought of it that way, but this could represent literally taking a pause. But I was thinking this usually represents footprints and following in someone's footprints, or making your own footprints, making your own mark in the world. So for some of you, it's about needing to find support from other people, right? Following in someone's footprints to, maybe that's, especially since it felt the shade part of the leaf here, to kind of take that pressure off. Someone might be helping to take some of the pressure off of trying to figure this all out. But it also could be just that by taking your own footsteps, maybe you feel like you're not having to follow in someone's shadow. So see which way that's going for you. This is definitely for the energetic landscape. You did get a lot about dreams, right? This literally talks about dreams, dreaming and believing and imagining and seeing what could happen. And so you're definitely feeling more optimistic about your dreams and the things you wish to grow in the coming month. You also have this little bead. Whenever I see this one, it makes me think of like if you literally rolled a number 5 on a die, then usually 5 represents change needed. And so, again, it just kind of feels like a reiterated feeling of like, if you don't take the steps forward to accomplish these goals, then they're just gonna, you know, if nothing changes kind of energy. And then lastly here, we have this little pale pink star. And so this star usually represents self-care, so maybe that foundation is related to self-care or self-love in some way. Maybe that's where this energy is coming in, but it also can just be, you know, success, with the star being the shape. So that's everything that I really have coming up here for you for the coming month. I do hope this was useful to you. I do hope it was fun and playful. I would truly love to hear your thoughts down below on how my sisters did on the intro, or if you want to tell me what you saw in the different cards. Maybe you saw things differently. I'd love to hear how your own intuition was working with these interesting tools. And if you are interested in more charm casting readings, if you're interested in pick a card readings, as well as learning more about art magic, then definitely feel free to subscribe, as I put out new videos every single Monday that I think you'd really enjoy. And if you'd like to have a reading that isn't specifically with a board game card deck, then do feel free to check out these snail mail readings I have down below for any question or query that's on your mind right now for career, love, spirituality, anything else. Do feel free to message me or email me to get your own private reading. As the most popular one is snail mail readings, where I send a letter to you in the mail. It's typewritten on a vintage typewriter. It's wax sealed closed for your eyes only. It has a really fun, tactile, and tangible feel that I think is needed sometimes in our digital world. So do feel free to check those out down below. Lots of helpful reviews on my Instagram as well. And I'm pretty sure that's everything. So thank you so much for hanging out here with me today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello group 3, if you've decided to choose this specific Fool from the Cosmic Slumbers Tarot, then this is the pile for you. April Fools and April season has arrived. For those of you who have been on my channel before, you probably already know what's coming. We are doing an April Fools reading, which means that we're going to be using all of the decks here as board game or card game decks, although we'll still be using the charms, but we're going to be changing it up. We got to really use our intuition here and see what happens. It's kind of a little bit of a exercise for both you and for me to play around with all different kinds of decks and still see what we can see what comes forward, really. Also, if you were confused by the intro, every single one of these videos I like to play around with the intro with my two sisters who are so supportive, so wonderful, and they wanted to jump in and do a little bit of the intro pretending to be me to kind of throw you guys off. So I do hope you guys enjoyed that, and if you did, do let them know down below. It's really fun for them to see what you all thought, and I'd love to hear too. But like I said, today's going to be kind of a little bit different. We're going to be doing some wild cards, literally. So if you're curious what we're using here today, I'll have it all listed in the description down below. But we do have a standard playing card deck, which is actually my first tarot deck, fun fact, and is a great alternative for those of you who are trying to kind of stay in the broom closet with your practice, your spiritual practice. This is a great way to be a little bit more discreet, but also if you don't really have the money for a tarot deck, then this is also a great option. It's basically a minor arcana deck, and I'll also be using a new deck to my collection from a really fun chill game called Wildcraft. We're using Harry Potter trading cards as well as Hues and Cues and Picturica, and again the charms to look into the outlook of your month for April, as well as, sorry, I got a frog in my throat there, but as well as Aries season. So happy birthday to any Aries out there, but it's going to be for anyone, so even if you're not an Aries in your sun, moon, or rising, this is still going to pertain to you. But enough chit chat, let's go ahead and get right into it. So we're going to start off with the Hues and Cues card, a card deck here to look into the energetic landscape that you have coming in. So we're going to be using some color psychology and things like that to see what's coming in for you for energy for the next coming month of April. But we're also going to be looking into the letters and numbers that show up on the cards for numerological messages, angel numbers, some initials of people and places that might be really important for you over the coming months. So as always, feel free to use your own intuition, see what comes through, and let's just play. So group 3 here, the month of April. What is the energetic landscape of the month of April coming through for group 3? The month of April, group 3. Ooh, I love these colors together. This is an interesting little array here. I really love this color, but I mean, teal and turquoise are one of my favorites, so maybe one of your favorite colors are coming in. Maybe that's kind of a good sign for you. You have M, I, D, and B for letters, as well as the numbers 4, 20, 27, and 8. So no repeating numbers here. What I do like about B4 is it literally can represent B4, so there could be something happening that's related to the previous month going forward into April. So something that happened in March that's sort of moving over into April for you. Something that's quite grounded as well with the colors that are coming in here. Something maybe related to nature or something that you're building a foundation on. But I'm going to keep these colors in mind as we move through your reading and see how they might show up for you. But just looking at them, they feel very grounded, they feel very earthy, they feel very, but in like a less specific way, right? A lot of the time we think of earth colors as like brown and green, but in this case they just feel very, I don't know, rooted. They feel very grounded, but still energizing. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Do, as always, feel free to let me know in the comments down below how you think the reading goes and what you see. But we're going to move on to see the more tarot deck colors, the tarot deck numbers and cards that are coming through for you. So group 3 here. The month of April for group 3. What we got coming in group 3. The month of April. Ooh. 9 of Wands, the 2 of Wands, And I'm going to go ahead and pull one more for you. Group 3. What else do you have coming in here? Group 3. Month of April. Ooh, you got an ace. Anytime an ace comes up in tarot, it usually represents a new beginning, something right on the precipice, something that you're planting. Think of it as like a little seed that you're putting in the ground, something you're trying to make grow, something you're trying to give the opportunity to grow. It doesn't necessarily mean it will grow this month, but it means that you have a seed growing in your mind, or a seed of an action that you're taking this month that's really going to flourish, especially when it comes to the ideas of the spades, or in this case swords. Swords are all about it's connected to the air element, and the swords also are very much connected to the way that we communicate. So this could be that you're putting a seed out there when it comes to maybe a book you're writing, maybe it's a blog, maybe it's a social media post, maybe it's a conversation that you really want to have, maybe it's a meeting, like whatever. It could really relate to communication. That's what's really coming in for me, specifically for you all. But it can also talk about intellect, so a new skill that you're learning, or a problem that you're solving in some case. So that's what we have coming in here: ideas, communication, speaking, speech, that sort of thing, that you have a new little seed growing there. You also have the 9 of Wands as well as the 2 of Wands. Wands, or the clubs here, it took me a minute to remember what they were, but the clubs here, they relate to the fiery element of fire. So something kind of sweeping you off your feet, getting something very passionate and very momentous moving forward. So when it comes to this intellect, to this thing that you're trying to build and grow, you have the 2 of Wands on your side. The 2 of Wands is about planning, taking careful time to plan. So it's making sure you don't jump right in, that it's making sure that you really look at all of the different things you could do, looking at and researching. So say the thing that you're trying to work on is a book, making sure you learn how to, edit that book, how to use other resources, how to self-publish, whatever it might be. I'm just, pulling these out of my hat, but regardless, it just basically means that something that you're trying to grow here is really going to need a lot of careful consideration and a lot of careful research into how to get that going, how to get your feet off the ground for that before taking the action, before just jumping right in. So it's not about jumping in, it's not about sort of impulsively moving through something. So those are the energies that we have coming in here. But then to end it here, before we move into everything else that we're going to pull here, is the 9 of Wands. And the 9 of Wands is sort of a different kind of energy. It's sort of it's a card to kind of block things off. I always think of it as sort of a boundary card. It's about sort of putting boundaries down around people or situations that you might find yourself in. So maybe it's about needing to really put your foot down, draw a line in the sand this coming month with someone, or with a situation, with a behavior that someone is doing towards you. That's sort of coming in here. It's also maybe having boundaries with yourself. Sometimes having healthy boundaries with yourself can be really useful, and it shows a lot of self-care and self-love in doing so. So that's sort of the energy that we have coming in here. Nothing else is really related to that I'm really seeing specifically, but you might know exactly where that boundary is. So I'm sure for those of you who do know, you already know what's going on. Especially since, like I said, it could be related to March or something that happened in the previous month. So let's move on to these Wildcraft cards, in that this could literally be a really small mini oracle deck, because all of these are different plants. So some of these plants I don't know as well, so I'm very curious to see what comes forward. So let's see, group 3 here, the month of April for group 3. The month of April. Ooh, you got chamomile or chamomile, depends on where you live and how you say it, but you got chamomile or chamomile here. Do you guys ever have this where you sometimes have a specific word that someone says some way and someone says another way, and you learn it both ways, and now you can't decide how to say it. That's how I feel about this plant. So apologies if I use one or the other, but regardless, when it comes to chamomile, I'm really feeling this. It represents it for a lot of people. You have chamomile tea to fall asleep or to sort of calm yourself down. So when I'm seeing this one, it's telling me that this is sort of an energy of, this is going to be a quite calm month, that things are going to be quite calm, quite, again, grounded, quite chill. They're going to feel very like you can take a breath, and you can really breathe and slow down. And so that's the energy that I'm really getting from this. You also might be getting some better sleep this month if you want to take it quite literally, or working towards your sleep schedule. Maybe that's that healthy boundary that you're building here. But that's just, one way of looking at this. So see what comes forward for you. But that's basically what I'm really getting specifically from chamomile. Other than that, chamomile can also be a quite soothing plant too. And one that feels very, very spring-like, right? So it also can be that just the spring energy in the air, if you're in the northern hemisphere, might be really working to your advantage. So we'll see. Outside of that, we're going to pull a couple cards from this Picturica deck, which is quite a silly deck. It's quite funny. It's very much just these really interesting little doodles. So I love to use these because it's kind of a little bit of a challenge for me. And it may be a challenge for you if you want to try something a little bit different when it comes to using your intuition. So let's see, group 3. What do we got coming in here? I forgot to mention the number 39 is at the bottom down here as well, if you were looking for more numbers to, add to your angel numbers or things like that. Group, I'm feeling this bottom card here. Let's pull one more. Group 3. Okay. Ooh, interesting. So you got 2 of the blue cards. First off, you got this car, literally a card, with a car here, and this like sort of creature chilling in the car, and they almost look like they're like belting out a tune, right? They feel like, when you're in the car and you're just belting out a tune and that perfect song comes on and there's a sunset out your window and it's just like the perfect night on the way home or something like that. That's the energy that I'm getting from this card. It feels really relaxing, like we were getting from everything else, but it also feels that grounded energy of just like, yes, things are going right, I'm going in the right direction, and I know it. You know what I mean? That's the vibe that I'm getting from this, and that's maybe why you're feeling kind of calm, and maybe why you're feeling like you can maybe speak up about something, or you're able to maybe start planning for something, because things aren't so hectic this month that you feel like you actually can. On the flip side of that though, right behind it, you do have this little ghost turning on the light, which makes me think, that you're kind of scared of something. Maybe you're a little bit nervous about something right now. I'm not exactly sure what that is because so far you don't really have anything specifically showing up there outside of this boundaries card, which has been kind of a mystery with everything. Sometimes it happens, right, when we're doing a reading. You can find that there are some mystery cards. I don't know how to explain it, but like all of the other energy just feels like it's given to you on a plate, on a silver platter, and then there's this other little plate hanging out over here, but it's not necessarily telling you all the details. And that's what I'm really getting here. There's something that maybe is making you a little bit nervous this month. Maybe it's not front of mind, maybe it's not something you're thinking about all the time, but it's just like hanging out there. But I don't think it's stopping you. I don't feel like it's stopping you from, enjoying this month or feeling calm or being able to work through it. It doesn't really feel like something that has to really take up a lot of space in your mind this month. That's really what I'm getting here. But I'm curious to see if we get any charms that fall on that one. To finish off your reading before the charms, though, we're going to look at these Harry Potter trading cards, which, by the way, I've had since 2001, 2002. So these are just vintage old little cards. So definitely not condoning the author, but we are going to look into any energy coming in for Aries season. So like I said, happy birthday to any Aries out there, but also we're going to be looking into Aries season as a whole, which Aries season and people who are in their sun, moon, or rising have Aries energy are very much go-getters. They're leaders. They are very like action focused. They get the ball rolling on things, right? That's kind of the energy that I get from Aries. So that's what we're going to be looking into. How can you work with that go-getter leadership energy to really get things moving and get things forward in your mind and focused, to get the ball rolling on something. So we're going to be seeing how that energy can really benefit you and work with you this month, or maybe how you might be working against it. So group 3 here, the month of April, Aries season. Ooh. So let's see, you got the number 5 here with this little snitch, and it's a spell called Sloth Grip. It says here that Chaser Katie Bell of Gryffindor there. Not really much we're getting from that quote, to be honest, but it really just feels like you're, especially in this one, it kind of feels like you're dodging something, right? You're dodging out of the way of, like, you know, you dodged a bullet in that sense. So it really feels like you're dodging out of the way of something. And then also you have the number 7 here with Lapifors, with this little bunny. So this is making me feel that spring energy again. Spring energy being really much in your favor this month. If you guys are in the Northern Hemisphere, then getting outside, literally getting out in nature, getting grounded back into nature can be super helpful for you. Maybe it's just because you need the vitamin D. Maybe it just feels really energizing. Maybe it gives you that idea that you need. Maybe it gives you that same feeling of, like, you know, feeling just really nice in the car on the ride home, just very grateful for the moment. Whatever it is, I feel like that's the way that that's where you're focusing your energy over the coming month, and that's where your focus is just sort of being in the moment. And then the Sloth Grip is telling me that these two energies are very much connected, and that how you're going to dodge this bullet or dodge this thing is to just be in the moment, to be really in this energy this season. So I'm going to go ahead and pull you some charms to finish off your reading. But if you want to see how you can create your own charm set, as this is sort of like working with the board game stuff, right? It's a really fun, intuitive exercise, and you can create your own sort of deck of sorts or charm set of sorts that could be super, super personal to you. So definitely feel free to check out this video that I have down in the description down below on a master guide video on how to create your own and build your own charm casting set, because I think you'd really enjoy it if you haven't seen it already. But let's go ahead and cast the charms to see what you have coming in. Okay, so I just didn't feel like we had enough when we first started, so I'm going to go ahead and see what else is coming in. So yeah, this marble is just going to continue to roll off, so I'm not really feeling these outside ones. So we're just going to read what fell on the main board here. So let's see together. So like I said, I was interested to see what would show up with the ghost here, and you got this little organized charm. So maybe something that's really maybe kind of freaking you out right now is trying to get organized. So when I'm looking at this can either represent a temporary fix, right? Paper clips don't necessarily perfectly bind papers together, but it sure does do an okay temporary job. So that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting here, is like it's a temporary fix to fix something that maybe you're scared about or nervous about, something that maybe you need to strengthen or work on. But then also it literally is like an organizational sort of method. So when I'm looking at this too, it makes me think that maybe getting organized and getting your thoughts organized, maybe sometimes that can feel daunting or feel like a scary thing. So that's sort of showing up here for your month, that you might be reorganizing, purging things, fixing things, donating, who knows, but maybe that's kind of, you know, making you a little bit apprehensive. When it comes to the boundary card of the 9 of Wands, you have the Our Fault in Our Stars charm, or the Fault in Our Stars charm based off the book. So whenever I see this one though, it makes me think to sort of embrace our flaws or embrace the things that we're maybe not so adept at or not as good at, or still working on, and that we're a work in progress. So that's sort of showing up here with that boundaries. So maybe if you're needing to put a boundary down with yourself, that could be just reminding yourself that you're not perfect, that you're still figuring it out. But it also can represent, if you're putting a boundary down with someone else, that one, it may not always be perfect when you first lay down that boundary and giving people time, but also it can be that maybe you need to put that boundary down because someone's sort of picking on your flaws or trying to, get your goat in that way. You do have a lot of lucky energy coming in here. You got the 4-leaf clover, so that's really nice to see. Some serendipitous moments maybe on their way in for you when it comes to planning something. And then you also have like this little DNA charm. Whenever I see this, it makes me think of DNA or like a little chromosome. So when I see this, it also makes me think that if you're trying to organize things, if you're trying to plan things, luck is on your side. Again, this season feels very lucky for you. And then you also have here the, to finish off your charms, the partnership charm of the dolphins. This is about really honest, nice conversations and communication with someone, but it can also represent, working with someone, working in a relationship really well and fluidly with someone, whether that's a platonic relationship, familial, a romantic relationship, or otherwise. It seems like your relationships are really chill this month. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting here, that you don't really have to worry about them too much, that it's going to be pretty chill. So those are all of the charms and cards that I have here for you for the month of April. I do hope you enjoyed this, and please do let me know down below in the description or in the comments if you found other things happening in the cards or how you thought this went, or if you have some sort of card suggestions for next year. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. And also, if you are interested in pick a card readings like this, then do feel free to check out the other ones I have on my channel, or subscribe, as I put out new readings every single Monday, as well as educational videos on charm casting and art magic. And definitely feel free to give this video a like. I don't know if I mentioned that. And then to finish things off, I just want to remind you I have snail mail readings out if you want to get one for yourself, or even for a friend or someone else, maybe as a gift or a birthday present, as they're really great for answering any question or query on your mind, but I send it through the mail to you. It's typewritten on a vintage typewriter, usually 3 to 4 pages long, really extensively going into your question or query, and it's also wax sealed closed for your eyes only, so it has a lot of fun features to it. Definitely feel free to check out the helpful reviews on my Instagram down below, as well as emailing me or DMing me if you'd like to get one for yourself. So thank you so much for hanging out here with me today and joining me for this April Fool's sort of celebration, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!